I think life's success isn't measured by what happens to you. You know, like this guy, he just got dealt a really bad deal, I'm assuming. You know, I got dealt a really amazing hand. You know, in life, my parents loved Jesus. You know, I came to know faith from a young age. But in life, I don't believe life's measured by what happens to us, but how we deal with what happens to us. Because we could all be dealt these hands or whatever. We just live in a fallen world, unfortunately. And so whatever we're brought up in, it's how we deal with those things. And I think that's the true measure of life success, if you want to call it that. And so anyone out there like listening, like whatever you've gone through, like it's up to you. You didn't choose the path, that things that happened to you. I didn't get to choose. You know, I was trying to help this guy. I was trying to help the guy with whatever he needed. So I could be bitter and twisted with this, like against this guy. I tried to help the guy, like, and I got dealt this. But instead of looking at it that way, I said, like, look, I get to forgive this guy. I get to share so much light into this. I get to share the story with all of you and hopefully bring some good out of it. And as Jesus says in his word, it's like, God uses all things for good for those who love him. Whatever the end outcome of the story, if this is the finish of it and there's never any more, if there's some gnarly story, hopefully not, but if there is ever something, I really believe God will still use it. And I'm not going to be bitter at God when I see him, be like, how dare you give this, you know, like we just live in a fallen world. And so it's up to me, up to all of you, to figure out how you deal with whatever happens to you. Don't blame the thing. It's up to you, because you can't change what happens to you, but you can change how you react. You can change how you deal with it. You can change how you either forgive or not forgive. You know, you can only change you and your mindset. So don't let this bitter mindset of non-forgiveness, this bitter mindset of whatever that looks like, rule your life.